Díomh agus fáilte arás go dtí Irish language teacher Ismisha Breach. So today we've been discussing the abature, the alphabet in the Irish language, and in the previous video we had a look at all the different letters that are in the Irish alphabet and how you pronounce them. And we also identified the letters that aren't in the alphabet. They're in the English alphabet, but they're not in the Irish alphabet. So I did mention a few consonants that when you have vowels coming after them, they sound a little bit different. So I just wanted to expand on that in this lesson. So this is about vowels that come after certain consonants. Now, we have 5 vowels in Irish, just like English: A, E, O, I and U. And we have the same vowels again, but they have a fada on the top of them, and that fada is just an elongation of the sound. It's like a little acute accent that goes on top of the vowel, and it means that the sound of the vowel changes. So I did discuss that in the previous lesson, but now we're going to look at the vowels again coming after certain consonants and how that will change the sound of the consonant. Okay, so first thing we do is we have a look at our vowels: A, E, I, O and U. And you can see that I have divided them into 2 groups here. Okay, so this is the first thing we do. We identify which of our vowels are broad and which of our vowels are slender. Now, if you can think about these vowels as the broad vowels, because they are, you'll be able to see that they're sort of like, especially the O and the U, they're a little bit broad looking in shape, and that's a good way to maybe remember them. So A, O and U are our broad letters, and then that leaves E and I as our slender letters. So again, the I is very slender looking in shape, so it's an easy one to remember, and the E goes into that group as well. So when we put them together with consonants, the sound of the consonant will depend on whether it's been followed with a broad vowel or a slender vowel. Now I'm just going to look at 4 particular consonants today. I'm going to look at D, L, S and T, and I'm going to go through what they sound like when they have a slender letter coming after them and then a broad letter. So let's start with D. Okay, so in our last lesson I said this can sound like D or J. So let's have a listen. With the broad consonants A, O and U, this is going to sound like D, exactly like it does in English. D, D. Okay? And when we put it with a slender consonant, it's going to sound like J, J. Okay? Now, again, if the vowel has a fada on it, it's going to change the sound of the vowel, but the D will always be either J and then the sound of the vowel, or D and then the sound of the vowel, depending on broad or slender. And that's pretty much the rule for these group of 4 consonants that I'm going to go through. So the second consonant is L. So let's have a look at what happens with L. So again, if we have a look at L, when it goes with A, O and U, our broad consonants, it's L, exactly like English. La, lo, lu. Okay, so it's exactly the same sound as the L we have in English. Listen what happens when we put it with the slender consonants. It becomes a Y sound. It's as if there is a tiny little Y coming after it. Y, Y. So just have a think about that. Now, the next letter is S. It's a great letter. Love S. Now, with S, we have the broad vowels A, O and U. And again, it's going to sound exactly like it does in English. S, 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 sa, so, su, su, su. Okay? S, s. So it's just important to remember that that's S, exactly like you'd expect it to be in English. When we have it with our slender consonants, it becomes like a sh sound. Now, the best way for me to explain it is like s with the broad, sh with the slender. And if you think about any boy's name or girl's name that is in Irish, think of Sean, s, or sh. It's a sh sound. So it comes se. It will start with se, sh. If you think about a girl's name like Saoirse, which is spelled sa, it's a s sound. Saoirse, Saoirse. And if you think of a girl's name, Sheila, spelled in Irish, S-I fada, she. Now, there's no fada on that, but there should be. So she. But again, it's to emphasize the sh sound. Okay? Now, the last letter that I'm going to go through with you is T. And again, T is has quite a different sound. We'll have a look at the A, O, and U, and it's T. T, exactly like we would expect it to be in English. So we would have ta, to, tu. Now, again, this lesson is about just focusing on the pronunciation of the T, T. So let's have a look what happens with the slender vowels. It becomes ch, ch. So if you see T in front of E or I want you to pronounce it ch, ch. Okay? So that's the 4 letters I want you to focus on. There may be maybe subtle changes in the other consonants, but if you can figure out D, T, and S, you're off to a flying start just in terms of pronunciation. So I hope you start to look at how we spell all our lovely place names in Ireland, how we use them for our first names and for our surnames, and try and see those patterns of the D and the T and the S. And then if you want, you can sort of maybe tune into that L sound as well. Okay, so that's the 4 letters, and we'll do another session just on the letters that come in front of consonants, which is the ellipsis, also known as the URL, and that will be the next lesson. Okay, slán go fóill.